Now, let's go ahead and juxtapose that. And this is an example, actually, where I'm going to take the Muslim side, right? Because as you guys know, I tend to be very unbiased with this shit. So, because I don't have a dog fight in the game. I'm not like a devout religious person anyway, so I can look at things with a fairly clear lens. So, check this out. I'm going to play this clip for you guys and kind of give you guys my reaction to it. So,
don't touch the camera.
So, as you guys can see here, this is what I call the fat apostate right here, this loser. They're in Jerusalem.
It's a holy place.
And this Avi Yemeni guy and Tommy Robinson.
Jewish and Christian too. It's also Jewish and Christian.
What does it say in the videos?
What are you talking about?
What does it say in the videos?
She says it's just for Muslim.
This is just for Muslims.
Properly.
Yes, just for Muslims.
But this is an important site for Christians and Jews.
This is the holiest site for Jews.
Right. Hiya.
Okay, so this is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, right? So look what happens here. And just so you guys know, for context, only Muslims can enter this mosque, okay? Non-Muslims cannot enter this mosque.
Just look from here.
Yes, from here.
Is there a reason we can't look? Is there a reason we can't look?
Yes, that's not for to look, to inside, it's not allowed.
What about as a Muslim?
You are Muslim?
Yes.
How can I know if you are Muslim?
How can you know?
Yeah, you can read some Quran.
Yeah, what do you want?
So he said, read some Quran.
432? Which Quranic verse do you want me to read?
Beginning in the first of Quran.
Beginning, what, in Arabic or in English?
Al-Fatiha, you can read.
Now the Fatiha is like the first surah, right? It's like what every Muslim knows by heart.
Al-Fatiha?
I don't know.
Okay, now this guy pulls up, all right? Now for those of you that don't know, this guy, I think he goes by the handle Apostate something, Prophet, some shit like that. This is a guy that was a former Muslim that converted to Christianity. So look what he does. So he says, oh, Al-Fatiha? So boom, he starts reciting it, right?
MashaAllah. In the library, you can read?
Yeah.
He's teaching us. Only you.
Why? He's a teacher.
He's teaching.
Bro has titty sweat. What the fuck?
He's our teacher.
And then this guy, I think this guy's Jewish. Well, I know ethnically he is. I don't know what his religion is, but I think he's probably religiously Jewish too, or maybe secular.
Or Muslim.
Only for Muslims.
And just so you guys know, to add more context to this is one of the holiest sites in the Muslim religion. Okay? So what you guys just observed here, let me really help you guys understand this, because what just happened right here is absolutely fucked up. Okay? And this is coming from a guy that, you know, isn't even that religious. So let me go ahead and read the tweet that I made here. So I go, this is actually wildly disrespectful to Muslims and one of the holiest sites in Islam. I don't like Judaism and I'm not a Christian, but I would never dare disrespect the synagogue or a church. Why can't apostate retard, Avi Juwini, and Tommy exercise that bit of respect? Reciting Surah Al-Fatiha by a murtad, and a murtad, guys, is someone who's a deserter of Islam, to deceptively attempt entry into one of the holiest mosques is absolutely unacceptable. But I expect no less from this retard, and I'm talking about apostate. Behavior like this agitates an already volatile situation for no reason. Now, him trying to do this as a former deserter is so fucking disrespectful, I can't even explain. But all the Muslims in the chat can probably explain to you guys why this is such a problem, right? So this is like the equivalent to like me going into a church and saying I'm a Christian, but like bringing like pagan idols and worshiping them during a Sunday service and lying to get in. That's the equivalent. And what makes this even worse is that if he did this in like a regular masjid, that's one thing. I'd be like, yo, that's really fucking, you know, fucked up and vile. But to do this at the Al-Aqsa Mosque is top-level disrespect. Now, let me tell you why it's so disrespectful. It goes beyond the fact that he's a deserter or what's called a murtad in Arabic. The other reason why this is so wildly disrespectful is because this mosque was one of the primary reasons why October 7th happened, okay? Now, some of you might be saying, Mar, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean October 7th happened because of this mosque? Let me explain. In order for you guys to understand what I'm about to tell you, I need to go through some facts and a little bit of history here. Okay? So, sorry, switch cameras. So Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas, okay, outlined a couple of the reasons why October 7th happened. Okay? And the one reason that I never see get reported in Western media is this mosque. As you guys know, a lot of new viewers here, so I'll kind of go through this quickly. There were a couple of big reasons why October 7th happened. The first one was because the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords, long story short, were a was an agreement that Trump put in 2020 where Muslim countries would recognize Israel's sovereignty and recognize it as a state. Okay? There had been many countries that were in these accords. Bahrain, UAE, Sudan, Morocco, Egypt, and Jordan already had recognized it. But they were looking to expand the Abraham Accords in 2023. And there were rumors that the Saudis were going to come in and join the Abraham Accords. Okay? The reason why this is a problem is because, as you guys know, there's been a conflict in that region for decades. Okay? The Israelis have been trying to get the Muslim world to recognize them as a state while simultaneously avoiding the Palestine question. Okay? As you guys know, Israel's a genocidal, apartheid, ethno-colonial state, and they've displaced millions of Palestinians. The creation of Israel back in May 1948 was also the Nakba for the Palestinians, where something like 700,000 plus Palestinians were exiled from their homes. So this has been a long-standing issue for a very long time. And many of the Muslim leaders for decades have said, we will not recognize Israel until the Palestinians get their right to self-determination and either a two-state solution or a one-state solution. But what Israel's done is they've tried to get the Arab world to recognize them without holding on to what they're supposed to do, which is to give the Palestinians sovereignty, which is why to this day, they still illegally occupy them in the West Bank and Gaza. Okay? So when Saudi Arabia was having potential talks of joining the Abraham Accords without solving the Palestinian question, this prompted Hamas to act. And the other reason that prompted them to act and do what they did is because back in 2018 and 2019, when they were doing the march, they were doing what's called the March of Freedom, right? I might be bastardizing it, whatever, but it was a peaceful protest where Palestinians were marching along the border on Gaza and they were getting shot at by snipers and killed. So that was kind of the beginning. And I'll give you guys a video, like a 30-minute video where I go into real detail about this and I go over every specific fucking event that led to October 7th. But for the purposes of this explanation, I'm going to keep it more focused on the topic at hand, which is Al-Aqsa. So the Abraham Accords and the Palestinian question was one of them. Now, that was one of the chief ones. Now, the other big one that no one talks about was the destruction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which you guys are seeing here. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is one of the most religious, one of the holiest sites in the Islamic faith behind Mecca, right, in Medina, where the Kaaba is, the black cube. And only Muslims are allowed there. There's an organization called the Temple or Org, right? Some shit like that. I forget what the Temple Foundation, some other bullshit like that, which is run by evangelical Christians and far-right Likud party Zionist Jews. And what they're basically doing is they are preparing to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque to rebuild the temple, okay? I kid you not. And their plan is to rebuild the temple and slaughter 5 red cows. I'm obviously condensing this quite a bit, but just so that you guys understand where we're going here, right? There's more to the ritual than this, but to make it simple in layman's terms, they went and purchased a bunch of red heifers in the United States a couple of years ago, spent $500 to $1 million on these cows. They brought them back to Israel. This was years ago. And they've been preparing to destroy the mosque, to rebuild the temple. The mosque, guys, needs a lot of renovations, okay? It's falling in itself. It's cracking all over the place. And underneath the mosque, the Israelis have been secretly digging tunnels underneath, right? To basically have it implode on itself. Sounds a little like 9/11, right? But anyway, this has infuriated the Palestinians and the Muslim world because they know this is what they're trying to do. And as a matter of fact, earlier this year, Adam King, right, a prominent Zionist Jew, was bragging that they had conducted almost like a practice execution of the red cow, and he was on Tim Pool bragging about it with the ashes, okay? So what does this signify? It signifies that the destruction of this mosque is pretty much imminent. So the October 7th operation that went down was actually codenamed Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. It was actually named after the mosque, and it was one of the main reasons why they attacked. Now, I'm not here to justify the October 7th attacks. I'm just explaining to you guys why it happened, because I think it's extremely important to understand context and why people do the things that they do. And I noticed that Western media almost always conveniently leaves out why these terrorists attack the Israelis, okay? Now, you guys know my position. I think both Hamas and the IDF, if we're going to look at a definition dictionary term, are both terrorists, right? And I would argue the IDF are bigger terrorists than Hamas, but that's a whole other conversation. I think they're the most well-equipped and trained terrorists in the world is the IDF. They've killed more kids than anyone else I could think of in the modern society. But anyway, so this is why what Apostate Prophet, to bring this back full circle for you guys, this is why what Apostate Prophet is doing right now is so goddamn disrespectful. Because not only did he recite the Surah Al-Fatiha to try to gain entry into one of the holiest sites, but he did it as a murtad, deserter, which in Islamic faith is punishable by death, if I'm not mistaken.